watching boxing.
Do you have a favorite fighter now that's active?
Right now, you know, Asian like Naoya Inoue.
Inoue, amazing fight.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. And I hope that he will accomplish in different weight division also.
Any possibility that you would go back in the ring and fight someone like a Tank Davis?
If he wants, and if he come up to 147, then we can fight.
He can't meet you at 140?
145 maybe.
I know it might sound crazy, but you brought up Inoue. Like, do you foresee potentially at someday you guys meeting together, maybe at a catch weight, or maybe if he keeps going up in weight?
Probably.
Yeah.
That would be like a fun fight.
Be crazy.
Yeah, that would be a fun fight. Now that would be technical. That fight right there, like man. But I think I'll be too big for.
Some fantasy fights spark debates, others haunt you. Naoya Inoue versus Gervonta Davis is the latter. Two undefeated champions from opposite ends of the world, each with a style engineered to break the other. Inoue, the monster, is all precision and brutality. Every punch calculated, every angle deliberate, the kind of speed you don't register until it's too late. Davis, known as Tank, fights with calm menace, stalking with patience, then ending it all with one violent, unseen shot. If they ever met, it wouldn't just be a super fight, it would be a test of philosophies. And Pacquiao has chosen his winner.
Gervonta Davis and Inoue?
If they were in the same weight class.
Inoue.
Why is that? Why does Inoue beat Gervonta if they could have figured out a fight?
Inoue is fast.
Inoue is fast.
Inoue is fast.
Is Gervonta part of your plans down the future?
Remember, in boxing,
One sentence was all it took to spark the fire. When an 8-division legend like Pacquiao picks speed over power, the world listens. But this wasn't just a headline, it was insight. A glimpse into how one of boxing's greatest minds sees the matchup, Inoue over Davis. Not the KO artist, but the technician. Not the wrecking ball, but the scalpel. Why? That's what this breakdown uncovers, what Pacquiao saw, what fans missed, and why. Even if the fight never happens, it might have already revealed something deeper about greatness, timing, and the anatomy of a win. This isn't just another what-if fight. This is the kind of hypothetical that tests boxing's deepest question. What really wins a fight? Timing or tempo, precision or pressure? And according to one of the greatest to ever step in the ring, the answer might already be clear. It was short, casual, almost tossed out mid-sentence. But when Manny Pacquiao said, Inoue is fast. Remember, in boxing, speed is the key. The internet didn't hear a comment. It heard a verdict. Coming from someone else, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. But Pacquiao built an empire on speed, not just quickness, but controlled chaos. He beat men bigger, stronger, and more hyped because he made them miss, then punished them before they could think. So when he says Inoue's speed would be the deciding factor against a knockout artist like Gervonta Davis, you listen. Because Manny knows what it's like to walk into the ring as the smaller man. He knows what it's like to feel outgunned on paper, only to dominate in motion.
One in history for me.
That's exactly what he sees in Inoue. Not just speed for show, but purposeful velocity. Inoue doesn't waste punches, he sets traps, he angles, then he strikes before his opponent's brain has caught up with their body. It's the kind of timing that isn't just fast, it's terrifying. And for Pacquiao, that's the edge Davis has never faced. Tank is a master of waiting. He lets you get comfortable, then turns the lights off with a single shot. It worked against Santa Cruz. It worked against Raleigh. It worked even when he was behind on the cards. But what happens when you never get that opening? That's what Pacquiao is hinting at. This isn't a knock on Davis. Pacquiao respects power. He's been dropped by it. He's dished it out. But he's always said the same thing. You can't hit what you can't catch. And when he watches Inoue, he sees a fighter who not only moves but controls movement. A fighter who forces you to reset, then punishes you for trying. In his mind, that beats the ambush. That beats the bomb. Inoue doesn't need to knock you out cold. He breaks you clean. And Manny knows, in a fight where the margin of error is this small, where one mistake ends it all, speed isn't just a weapon, it's survival. And maybe that's why the comment sounded so simple, because for Pacquiao, it is simple. In a world, sometimes it really just comes down to one thing: who lands first? To understand why this dream fight is so divisive, you have to break them down, not by hype, not by narrative, but by mechanics, because Naoya Inoue and Gervonta Davis are two of the most complete fighters in the world today. But the way they win couldn't be more different. Naoya Inoue is surgical. Everything from his jab to his body shots is programmed with intention. He doesn't just react, he anticipates. His footwork isn't flashy, but it's efficient. He closes distance like a phantom. His punch timing is so sharp, most opponents don't even know which hand landed. Inoue doesn't waste energy. He doesn't need to. His mastery is in control. Every round is a chess match, and he's always 3 moves ahead. Gervonta Davis is the opposite side of the same coin. Where Inoue is clean, Davis is cruel. He's the definition of danger in stillness. He walks you down like he's sleepwalking, shoulders slightly turned, eyes fixed. And just when you think he's coasting, he detonates. Tank doesn't need volume, he just needs a window.
To check the way up, it just takes one contest to remove that veil of doubt in his long career.
Stylistically, Inoue is a pressure boxer disguised as a technician. He breaks you without brawling. His body shots are some of the best in the game, short, compact, and placed with surgical malice. Watch any of his finishes and you'll notice one thing: his opponents fall from accumulation, not chaos. Tank, though, he invites chaos. He thrives in it. The moment a fighter gets brave and throws too much, he counters. And he doesn't just counter to score, he counters to finish. His power isn't just heavy, it's timed, which makes it lethal. This is why the matchup feels like a paradox. Inoue is the master of breaking rhythm. Davis is the master of punishing broken rhythm. So what happens when an unstoppable pattern meets an immovable punch? And then there's defense. Inoue relies on angles and timing to avoid damage. He's not unhittable, but he rarely absorbs clean shots twice. He learns mid-fight. His rematch with Donaire? It was a shutout, because Inoue had already downloaded everything. Tank, meanwhile, is deceptively slippery. His shoulder roll, his high guard, his subtle head movement. They don't just protect him, they set traps. He invites pressure, gives you false confidence, and the moment you overreach, he punishes you.
Liver shots, a signature move that has taken down many, including the legendary Nonito Donaire. Inoue's liver.
Right, because in previous fights we've seen that he seems kind of awkward, but in this fight he's not looking. There's a big left hand.
In raw physicality, Davis may own the heavier hands, those one-punch erasers that can turn a chess match into a crime scene. But Inoue possesses something just as dangerous: data. He's a walking algorithm of punch patterns, angles, and timing calculations. He downloads your habits within minutes, stores them, and builds a personalized destruction sequence. In boxing, that matters. Information wins rounds. It wins fights. And Manny Pacquiao knows this better than most, because when he looks at Inoue, he sees flashes of his younger self: fast, disruptive, unpredictable. When he studies Davis, he sees echoes of the men he had to figure out mid-fight. One reflects his rise, the other reflects his resistance. And when you put those two archetypes in the same ring, you're not just watching fists, you're watching ideologies at war. But before we dive any deeper into the tactics, there's an uncomfortable, unavoidable truth sitting in the middle of this hypothetical: Inoue and Davis don't even fight in the same division. On paper, this isn't a matchup. It's a mismatch. Inoue has perfected his art at 122 pounds, dismantling champions with the grace of a surgeon and the calm of a killer. Davis operates at 135, the domain of pressure, toughness, and impact. That's a 13-pound gap. In street terms, it's a size difference you ignore. But in boxing, it's the difference between an opening and an ending. It's not a gap, It's a wall. And yet, in a sport where weight has always been both a measurement and a myth, walls can be climbed. Legends have scaled greater divides. Pacquiao did. Roy Jones did. The question isn't could they meet, it's what would that actually look like. If Inoue moves up, it'll be careful, calculated, and capped. He may try 126, possibly 130. But 135? That's uncharted territory. That's a battlefield full of punchers who've been absorbing power from bigger men for years. That's a risk Inoue doesn't take lightly. But now flip it. Imagine Davis having to shrink down to 130. He's not a natural lightweight, he's built like a compact welterweight, all density and torque. Making 130 could drain him. Maybe the power still lands. But what about the patience, the judgment, the reflexes? When the body's struggling to maintain itself, the mind follows. And when that slips, even just a beat, Inoue won't miss.
Lightweight champion of the world, Gervonta Davis.
This is why Pacquiao's perspective matters. He lived this gamble. He walked into rings where his opponents outweighed him by 10, sometimes 15 pounds. And he still won, because his speed didn't slow, because his shots landed before size could matter. That's why he leans toward Inoue. Not because Inoue's bigger or hits harder, but because Manny knows speed, when used right, makes size irrelevant. But it's a razor's edge. Move up too fast and your punches bounce off. Stay too small and you get bullied in the clinch. At 126 or 130, the matchup is closer, but still favors Davis physically. Inoue would need to be perfect. He'd need to beat the clock.
He is the winner by way of technical knockout.
History favors the bold. Pacquiao jumped from 112 to 154, Roy Jones from middleweight to heavyweight. If anyone today can defy physics and stay sharp, it's Inoue. Davis, meanwhile, has shown that weight means little when his timing is right. One pause, one mistake, and the fight ends. That's why the weight gap here isn't just physical, it's tactical. In a matchup like this, where both men rely on precision and traps, it's not about who's bigger, it's about who adjusts faster when everything starts falling apart. Let's walk into the fantasy. Let's imagine the bell rings, the crowd rises, and Naoya Inoue and Gervonta Davis stare across the ring. Two undefeated champions about to test their styles, their timing, and their legacies. What does that first round look like? What happens when movement meets menace? Round 1. Inoue starts sharp. He always does. He takes center ring, bouncing lightly, eyes locked. He throws a range-finding jab, quick, snappy, just to check distance. Davis doesn't bite. He stays low, gloves high, eyes steady. He's not looking to win the first round. He's looking to read.
That he's smart. That's the reason why he's not just rushing in there. He doesn't want to walk into anything. Fulton is a slick boxer, sharpshooter, great counterpuncher.
Round 2. Inoue ramps up, doubles the jab, tests the body. He darts in and out, scoring points, not damage. Davis stalks, silent, still downloading. He lands nothing big, but makes Inoue work for every step. Already, the tension is thick. Every miss could be a mistake. Every step could be bait.
He's keeping him in range. There's a right hand and a left hand to the body that backed it up. He's been finishing consistently with that left hand to the body on the combinations.
Round 3. Inoue starts breaking rhythm. He lands a short right to the body, then feints high. Davis throws a counter and misses. That's rare. Inoue angles off, clips him with a straight. It's not heavy, but it lands. Crowd reacts. Davis grins. He's been touched. Now he's awake.
A lot of holding on the inside. Along the ropes. Now, one thing Garcia's good at is a more aggressive second round. Where online they say that Garcia had to take advantage.
Round 4. Tank starts adjusting. He cuts the ring better, pins Inoue to the ropes more than once. Doesn't throw, but now he's testing. He throws a hard left to the body. Inoue blocks it, but you can hear the snap. It's real. It's a warning. I only need one.
Left hand by Davis. Just beginning to feel the pressure of Gervonta Tank Davis. Thudding shot. Moments, and you notice a little blood around the right eye of Barrios.
Round 5. This is where the danger lives. Inoue, up on points, has to decide, keep boxing or try to punish. He steps in deeper, launches a combo, jab, cross, hook. He lands 2. The crowd roars. But the third, it misses. And Davis counters. A left cross. It lands. Clean. Inoue stumbles back, not hurt but shaken.
At the MGM Grand alongside Tim Bradley and Andre Ward, and here is your scorecard, Dre.
Yeah, it's a complete shutout. I don't think there's any, questions about that.
Round 6. Inoue regroups. He circles more, keeps the jab pumping. His volume rises. Tank is still hunting, still dangerous. But the problem is clear now. Inoue's not fading. His gas tank is bottomless. His feet are still fresh. And Davis? He's landing, but not enough. The rest of the fight becomes a coin flip. One clean punch from Davis could end it all. One burst from Inoue could seal the scorecards. The fans are split. The commentators are screaming. And everyone watching feels the same thing. This isn't just skill versus power. It's risk versus rhythm. If it goes to the cards, it's razor thin. If it ends early, it'll be one shot. But either way, it's a fight where no one breathes easy until it's over. This isn't just a fantasy matchup between two champions. This is Japan versus the United States. Tokyo precision against Baltimore power. It's a clash of cultures, of philosophies, of what boxing means to the world. Naoya Inoue isn't just Japan's pound-for-pound king. He's their symbol. Every time he steps into the ring, he carries generations of quiet excellence, discipline, and national pride. He doesn't talk trash. He doesn't brawl for the cameras. He executes. And in Japan, that means something. They don't just love him, they believe in him. Gervonta Davis is something else entirely. He's not just a fighter, he's a force. He represents an America that knows how to survive. An America built on pressure, on grit. Davis doesn't ask for your respect, he takes it. And his fans? They want him to take it.
Defenses. Then the sky was the limit for a bantamweight title, his third division conquered. He went on to great fame.
It wouldn't just be about titles or resumes. It would be about identity. If Inoue wins, it affirms that ring IQ, surgical precision, and elegant violence still beat raw aggression. It tells the world that boxing at its highest level is less about power and more about control. That silence can beat noise and sharpness can beat strength. If Davis wins, it proves that even the most disciplined technician is still one mistake away from sleeping on the canvas. That timing, patience, and the kind of power you can't see coming will always reset the scoreboard. One fight, two messages, both true. But only one can walk out still undefeated. For fans, this hypothetical isn't just exciting, it's refreshing. In a sport where big fights are postponed, ducked, or overhyped, Inoue versus Davis feels pure. A matchup that isn't about drama or marketability, but about seeing which philosophy survives when there's no safety net. It would be the biggest cross-continental clash since Pacquiao-Mayweather, but deeper than a mega event, it would be a reset. A reminder that boxing can still surprise us, that styles still make fights, that there's magic in unpredictability. And when Pacquiao chose Inoue, it hit differently. This wasn't a social media stir or a biased opinion. It was a calculated judgment from a man who has fought both types, men with power like Davis and men with precision like Inoue, and survived. Manny didn't just make a pick, he made a statement. One rooted in experience, not speculation. So when he said, Inoue is fast, speed is the key, he wasn't echoing hype. He was speaking legacy to legacy. And the boxing world listened.
Place. So his style is like when I was young, like 15, like when I was 115, 122, 118.
Left hand, right hand, Tapalis is down.
But Darius seems to be changing up his attack, Tess. Right now he's trying to be patient. He's trying to catch Inoue out of position. When Inoue commits, he's out of position. Oh, there it is.
Not everyone stood behind Pacquiao's pick. Some claimed bias, pointing out his deep ties to Japan and the Asian boxing community, suggesting his praise was more political than analytical. Others argued he was simply showing love to a fellow technician, someone whose style mirrors his own. But amid all the noise, one thing became undeniable. This wasn't just a debate anymore. This fight, fictional or not, had entered the public consciousness like a match already announced. There were no contracts, no face-offs, no weigh-ins, but the energy felt real, and as the conversation grew louder, the fantasy started to matter more than most real matchups. Fans began to ask the big questions out loud. Could Inoue move up once more? Could Davis make 130 without sacrificing his power? Could egos, broadcast deals, and promoters finally get out of the way long enough to make something historic happen? The answer to all of those is probably no. But boxing doesn't run on logic. It runs on momentum. And if the sport's history has taught us anything, it's that all it takes is one moment, one quote, one spark from a legend like Manny Pacquiao to turn a fantasy into a headline, a whisper into a war cry, and a what if into let's go. Maybe this fight never materializes. Maybe Inoue continues carving out perfection at 122 while Davis chases giants at 140. But that doesn't mean the idea loses its weight. If anything, it becomes heavier. Because matchups like Inoue versus Davis don't just belong in boxing, they build boxing. They're not about titles or rankings. They're about imagination, about what happens when two types of greatness walk into the same room. And when someone like Pacquiao steps into that conversation and chooses a side, he's not just making a prediction. He's honoring the sport by handing the question to the next generation and daring them to answer it.
There's that stick from Naoya Inoue. As round 7
wasn't a dynamite left hook, but it was one of the few left hooks he's been able to get in. Another left hook and a right hand by Garcia. And now, Garcia forced it!
In Pacquiao's eyes, Inoue isn't just the next great technician. He's a spiritual successor, a man who wins not through brute strength, but through timing, rhythm, and control. That's not to say Davis isn't great. He is. He's a storm waiting behind every calm breath. But in a fight where every detail matters, where the smallest hesitation can flip the entire outcome, Manny's seen it before. He's lived it. That's why he picked Inoue, and that's why this hypothetical won't go away. Because whether it happens or not, the story has already started. We've already imagined the crowd, the tension, the clash. We've already felt it. And that's the thing about dream fights. They live forever, even if they never happen. Because in boxing, sometimes the most powerful punch is the one you never get to see.
And here is Gervonta Davis.